Hey War Gamers, Josh here with Wargames Delivered, and today we are going to be building up some epic scale scenery from Pike and Shot's Push of the Pike set. And I'm super excited about this one, so let's jump straight into it. We are going to crack into the assembly here, and we are going to start with the first of the 3 sheets, and we're going to start pulling out all of the pieces for the small building. That's going to be all the walls, the second floor, the first floor, and then the ground floor is actually the last piece that you put on. It goes together very, very simply, as most pieces just snap into place, and once you have the 4 walls into place, everything is pretty well seated. I do like to take a little bit of super glue and dab it on the insides of those seams so that they don't seep out, and it creates a nice seal on the inside of it. Once you've popped out those interior pieces and that lower floorboard, you're safe to slide in the door panels. A drop of glue on each side should make them go in pretty easily. Don't mind me, as I did not glue them in all that well, and I kept knocking them out on repeat. Once those inner pieces were sealed in place, I went ahead and attached both pieces of the chimney, creating the entire chimney stack as well as the top chimney cap, so that everything would be nice and easy. Now the exterior of the paneled outside walls, to make sure you give it a little bit of details and hide out some of that bare MDF. After that, the bottom piece can go in. This fits really snugly so that there is no need to glue it. Now we're going to move over to the roof section, which there are only 2 pieces for. One of them has a notch for the chimney and the other one does not. So they are super easy to put together. I did put a little bit of super glue on each of the roof connection points so that everything would sit nice and snugly in place. Now comes the task of pulling out all of these tiny little fence connectors. As you can see, I wanted to check and see how they fit. So I threw a couple of them together so you could get an idea of what they would look like. But there are so many of these pieces, my fingers were sore. Here's a quick view of each of the type of pieces that you can create with this fencing section. You can create T's, straight lines, and corner pieces. Now comes the assembly of the big house. There are a lot of pieces for this, and the instructions aren't super clear. So I hope that you guys can see what I'm doing here, as I realize that you don't actually need to glue the 2 side pieces on. They can just be snap fit, and then the actual ends of the house work. Now here I made a mistake because I decided to attach the bottom piece before I inserted the doors and window interior pieces. Moving right along past that mistake, I got everything glued into place, and I attached the outsides of the sides so that everything fit nice and tight. There, the pieces fell out again because I didn't add quite enough glue. That was my fault. But once you've got that bottom piece in, everything holds nice and tight. Each side of this house does have a double stack, technically triple stack chimney, so you can glue everything, as well as an upper and lower section of the house that snap right into place. A little bit of glue to hold them there. Assembly for this chimney was almost the same as the other one, just a little bit reversed, and you don't have a protrusion on the end of it. I did have to take this chimney piece off, as I did not have it sealed appropriately. So once I got it glued, the glue wouldn't quite set, so I did have to go ahead and clamp this section and leave it for a minute while I was working on the roof. I did struggle with putting the roof on. I'm not going to edit any of it out, so you guys can just watch me fight with these pieces. But they do go in a specific way. I definitely suggest consulting the picture instead of the instruction manual, as it wasn't until I looked at the picture that I realized that every single one of my pieces was reversed and I needed to go the opposite direction with the pieces that I was putting in. Here is a look at the houses once they are fully built. Now let's jump into getting them painted. I picked the color Ancient Stone from the Fanatics line as the base for all of my houses and doors, as most of the houses during this time period were whitewashed wood, and I felt like the white was going to show up really nicely and help to show off that house. It also isn't going to work to cover up the details. I used a dry brush here and I didn't prime anything, as this MDF takes paint really, really well. I carried the Ancient Stone over to the main house as well, because they are part of the same housing complex. I wanted them to work. I was careful not to put any of it across the details of the windows, but I did do the doors and all of the actual house sections. Once the white was dry, I went ahead and went in with lava orange across the roof and the chimneys of each of the houses. Using that same color, the lava orange, I went ahead and I did each of the wall sections as well as each of the individual pieces of the wall connectors that were included in the set. And man, there was a lot of them. So we'll check back in with me in a few minutes to see how I'm doing on that. I used deep gray for each of the lines in the house, as they would have been structural wood, and probably painted in a color to give them a little bit more definition. I chose gray because I thought it looked really nice against the bright orange as well as against the white, giving it a little bit more definition and helping it to stand out. Looks like I'm all done with painting the fence pieces, but I still have to paint all of the attachments. Oh my gosh, I was going insane while I was painting all these little pieces. As you can see, I ended up grabbing some gloves so that I could make it go by a little bit quicker. And there are just so many of them. We'll come back again and check and see when I'm finished. Moving on to the big house, I used that same deep gray to fill in all of the lines across the house. Again, once again, these are a matching set, so I wanted to keep them the same all the way across. Oh, hey, look, it's the last of the fence connection points. I'm so excited to be done with that. Now we're gonna move on to a wash, a strong skin shade from the Fanatics line across each of the roofs and chimney. Really helps to darken it up and brings everything together. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. I'm Josh, this is Wargames Delivered. And if you stuck out this long, we really appreciate you. Make sure you tune in on the next one and hit that like and subscribe button. Here is the finished house from the Push of the Pike set. Until next time, we'll see you later.